Hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the first in a series of free workshops that I am running as part of my campaign Right Through This. So these workshops are basically designed to try and help in some small way get us through lockdown by being creative, by being playful, by discovering what we may need to discover through writing, by expressing ourselves, and hopefully by having fun. So thank you for giving yourself permission to spend an hour with me and giving yourself that time and that creative nourishment in these strange times. Just a couple of little housekeeping bits before we start. My name is Cecilia, for those of you that don't know who I am. I'm a writer and I'm the current Young People's Laureate for London. So what that basically means is that I'm all about advocating poetry and sharing the joy of poetry to as many young people as I possibly can, and kind of spreading the message that poetry is here for you, it's a space for you if you need it, and that you can occupy that space. Okay, let's get on to it. This first workshop is one of 3 workshops, and today we're going to be looking at ways to get into writing, no matter what your experience is. So you could have never written before, or you could be a seasoned writer. Hopefully there will be something in here for you, some tips and some tricks to get you started on something, to reinvigorate you, maybe to give you some new ideas, to challenge yourself, to discover something new through writing. But I also just want to say, obviously we're doing writing, but this is a kind and no pressure environment. I don't want anyone to put too much pressure on themselves to finish anything. You don't have to know what you're going to say before you say it. And I would argue anyway that the best poems come from when you let go and you don't know where you're going or what you're going to say, because that's where the sort of risk and the excitement comes from. But basically, don't put pressure on yourself to be perfect or good or to finish anything. You don't have to share anything if you don't want to. I will give an opportunity for people to share like a line or an idea or something, and you're very welcome to, but also you don't have to. And even if you only go away from today with a few words written down, you've still taken this hour to yourself and for yourself, and hopefully it might have shifted something or offered a slightly different perspective or planted a little seed. So basically all that to say, be kind to yourself and enjoy the next hour. Okay, so let's start with some free writing. This, I think, is the best place to start. More experienced writers will know that safeguarding? Why did I say safeguarding? I was just reading the thing that Tom put in the chat. More experienced writers might know that free writing is a kind of tool that's always available and a really good way to get you out of feeling stuck. For those writers that are less experienced and that maybe haven't done free writing before, I'm going to explain it in the way that I see it, the way that I know how to explain it. People might explain it differently, but this is how I see it. Okay. In free writing, I'm going to give you a prompt and you just go with it. You write the first thing that comes into your head and you keep going. You don't have to write fast. It's not a kind of speed competition, but you do just have to make sure that you don't stop. Because I find if you stop writing, you will think too much. And when we think too much, I think we try to impose meaning or order onto our writing, and we try and wrap things up and make a point, and in that way we kind of lose that discovery that we might have when we're just letting ourselves do a stream of consciousness. Flow writing, some people call it, because you're just kind of letting yourself flow and just let yourself express whatever comes out and let yourself be random I guess it's about letting your kind of wonderful subconscious do its magical thing, do the thing that it does when you get lost, and see what that allows you to discover. These are free writes, they're warm-ups, so don't worry about finishing or being complete or being perfect. Be messy and go everywhere with it. Grammar, spelling, handwriting, that doesn't matter. If you're typing, allow yourself to have typos. If you're writing with a pen, allow yourself to scroll all over the page. Don't think too much about what you're saying, just allow it to come out in the way that it comes out. So I'm going to give you 3 prompts, and I've taken these prompts from lines from poems that I've been reading lately. And the first prompt is from this book by Caroline Bird called The Air Year, which I love and which I'm reading a lot at the moment. It's so fun and it's full of life and it's full of kind of random, strange, surreal things. So I'm really enjoying that kind of escapism at the moment. And the line that I want you to free write just for 5 minutes on is, I'm standing on your front lawn. I'm standing on your front lawn. Okay, stop what you're writing and forget about it. It's done. It doesn't matter anymore. You might pick back through it later and find a new idea. You might just let it go. It might have just been a pleasant experience, but it's done. Congratulations. You've got some words on the page, and that's always the hardest bit, starting. So we're going to do another one like that. Probably just one more, because already we're running out of time. This is what happens. I stuff my workshops really full with stuff. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is a line from a poem by Rachel Long. Actually, it's half a line. I cut it. I was interested in keeping the end half of the line open-ended so that you could fill it with whatever you wanted to. So just to say at this point, apologies again for the technical issues regarding the chat box and how it threw me at the beginning of the workshop, but it's now working apparently, so you should be able to type in there if you need to ask a question or anything like that. So your next prompt, and I will also write it in the chat box, behold the miracle of, that could be anything. It doesn't have to be regal or holy or grand. It could be like, behold the miracle of my first cup of coffee in the morning, or behold the miracle of the pencil in my hand, or it could be, you know, vast, behold the miracle of the Grand Canyon. I don't know, but it's up to you. That's the point. The point is what you write and what your brain takes you to. It's not wrong because it's coming from you, and that is valuable. So just complete that sentence in whatever way that you want to, and run with it again in the same way, with the same energy and with the same sense that you don't know where it's going and what you might find out along the way. 5 minutes. Okay, everyone, finishing off whatever line or word you're on. Let's check in at this point. How are you doing? I think, she says, that the chat box is working for all of you now. So you can type in there. How are you doing? Is it going okay? Anything interesting happen? Is it hard? Is it fun? Tell me things. I would love to hear from at least some of the 48 people. So fun. Yes, Kate. That fills me with joy. I love it when a prompt is fun. Writing is supposed to be fun, you know. People agonize about it too much, including myself. Harry says, these prompts are super. Great. I'm glad they're taking you to a cool place. Jasper says, very freeing. Hand already aching. That's a good sign, isn't it? Very liberating, says Kate. Nice one. Awesome. Okay, cool. That's positive. Let's try one more. The last one is from a book called The Carrying by an American writer called Ada Limon, which I love. A lot of beautiful kind of natural imagery in this book. And the line that I want you to use for your next free write is "where the waves broke over us." I will put that in the chat box too for you. Where the waves broke over us. Where does that take you? And again, just enjoy this feeling of letting something out and letting something go wherever it goes. Let's just do 3 minutes on this one, because I want to make sure that we have enough time for the other tasks as well. And you're getting the hang of it now anyway. All right, 3 minutes, where the waves broke over us. Okay, last few seconds, drawing whatever you're on to a close. Don't worry about wrapping it up or finishing it. It might be exciting to just leave it hanging. Go back to it in a couple of days and see what you've got. And maybe still leave that ending hanging. That might be cool. Okay, so we're going to do something a bit different now. So as I said at the beginning, this workshop is kind of all about techniques to get you writing, and free writing is one of the kind of major things that I use. So with those three free writes, I just picked a line from a book that I have. So you can do that too. If you wanted to do your own free write, you don't have to come to a workshop. You could just pick a book off the shelf and pick a line from it and use that as a starting point, using the same principles that I've talked about here this evening, about just letting yourself go wherever it takes you. But it doesn't have to be a poetry book. Like, it could be the Argos catalogue or the manual for your dishwasher, or it could be the last text that you received. It could be anything. You can start your free writes with a photo, a picture from a magazine that you don't have anything to do with, and you can see where those different starting points take you. Sometimes I like to use this website called Window Swap, where you it's like a randomizer on the internet, and it shows you the view from different windows all over the world. If you Google Window Swap, you'll be able to find it. And suddenly you're looking out over like a, I don't know, mountain in Colorado, and then the next minute you're looking out at a kind of car park in Istanbul or something. And if you just write what you see and also write what kind of feeling it activates within you, it can be a really interesting exercise. You can do free writes to a piece of music. You could free write about a colour. You can do loads of stuff like that. There's this other thing that I do where there's a website where you can see what the Hubble satellite saw on your birthday. If you type in your birthday, and it shows you what the stars look like or what the planets look like on that day. That's a really cool place to start a free write from. So different starts get you to different places, and they have different effects and different results, and can help you find different poems or different pieces of writing, but also different feelings or memories that you have get uncovered that you may not even have known that you wanted to express. So on that randomness, we are going to now, I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to look at Wikipedia, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. Bear with me. So I found out the other day, let me share my screen. Google. I found out the other day, can you see that? Pop a little dot in the chat box if you can see it. Nice one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks, everyone. So I found out the other day that you can use this button, random, on Wikipedia to like generate a random article. And I thought, oh, that's an interesting thing that you could use to like mine resources for a poem. So I'm going to click random on the Wikipedia page, and you are going to write down 3 words that your eye is drawn to, and you're just going to write them down. Don't think anything about it other than that. I'm going to click random. You're going to write down 3 words you see. It could be a boring word like first, or a noun like chair or whatever, or it could be something a bit more kind of specific, like government is here, for example, women's issues. Each different random Wikipedia page will generate some random words that you can pick from. I'm going to do it a few times until you've got several words written down on your piece of paper. They don't have to relate to each other. They don't have to make sense. This isn't about trying to create a pattern or a logic to it. This is just about being incredibly random. So, random article. Write down 3 words that you see on this page. Next page. Write down 3 words that you see on this page, any 3 words. And you learn a lot, let's face it. Hayden Peter Patrizzi de Angelo was an Australian-born Italian cricketer. Okay, next page. Okay, this is about the Nagold River. So let me scroll down a bit for you. 3 words, any words. This one might be quite good. You got forest here. You've got meander. That's a good one. All right, don't think about it too much. Next random page. Some of them only have a couple of lines on them, so I'll just skip through the ones that don't have enough words for us. Random article, that's not got much on it. That's not got much on it. Random article. That's not got much on it. Okay, let's try Formica. 3 words. All right, let's do one more. Three words on this one. Okay. Thank you very much for going with my random request. Have you all got a kind of bank of words in front of you that you have plucked from the random Wikipedia pages? Give me a dot or a yes, or just something to show that you're with me. Cool. Nice one. Okay, forget about them for now. What we're going to do is look at a poem. So I'm going to share my screen again. This is a poem called 10 by Maria Ferguson from her collection All Right Girl. And the title kind of gives us the key into this poem by giving us the age of the speaker when they're writing this. So I'll read it through. 10. We wear green and white checked dresses. We play off-ground touch and scrape our knees. We compare our gummy smiles, count out saved up compensation to buy flying saucers and chocolate limes. We swap food from lunchboxes, decide we'll wear the same top to a party, pretend it's a coincidence. We are both now obsessed with Dalmatians and have matching stationery. We phone each other every day, even on holiday. We want to go to the same big school where our sisters go already, help each other with SAT revision. We discuss in great detail the likelihood of magical creatures' existence, how the Tooth Fairy and Easter Bunny are a bit condescending now, actually. Santa is a maybe. Jesus is definitely real. So the reason that I've chosen this poem is because it really confidently just takes us into that age that the speaker is. It's like we are really there at that age too. There's no kind of looking back from the age we are now. There's no sort of like hindsight. It feels really kind of immediate. And I just like the kind of simple listing of all the things that you might do when you're 10. What you might wear, what you might say, what matters to you, what you might eat. And I thought this would be an interesting exercise to pick an age. It doesn't matter what age that is. It could be the age you were last year, or it could be a childhood age. It could be 15. You know, it could be 5 if you wanted it to be. It doesn't matter if you don't remember a lot of specific detail about that age, because in the world of a poem, nobody's coming around with a fact checker to say, is that literally right and true? And sometimes it doesn't matter, because when we're writing poems, like, we are the authority and we say what happens. You know, we have that confident voice, which this poem shows really well. So I want you to think about an age that you want to write about. And I want you to just listen to my instructions and write down a few things based on the prompt that I'm about to give you. So, what are you eating at this age? Just write down a couple of things. Where are you going? What places do you go to at this age? What might you hold in your hands? What do you wear? I'm just going to stop sharing actually. What do you buy? What would you spend your money on at this age? What do you play? I play or we play? That's a really interesting one, because if you've chosen an age that's not in the kind of realm of childhood, what do you play as an adult or as an older person? Think about that. What do you want? What things do you do? What actions do you perform? Last one. Something you say. What do you say? Okay, now here's the task. I want you to write a poem like the Maria Ferguson poem in the present tense about being that age, using all of that thinking that you've just done about what you wear, about what you say, about the places you go, about what you hold in your hands. Use those actions as the architecture of this poem. I eat strawberry laces. I do this. I go to the Pebble Beach in Brighton. I say to my nan, da da da. That's your architecture. That is the thing that's going to help you to structure the poem, the action of that. And we've just explored that through those series of prompts. But here's where the Wikipedia random comes in. I want you to try and incorporate some of those words that you gathered when we were looking at those Wikipedia random pages into your poem. And this is to make your poem a bit more interesting. And it is a way to disrupt kind of the normality of your writing a bit more. It's to invite new words into your kind of arsenal or your lexicon that you can use in a way to make your poem slightly more surprising, or to express something in a way that you might not have expressed it before. So if you wrote down something about a river from one of those Wikipedia pages, and you're writing about sitting on your grand's knee, how might the word river come into this poem then? The lines around my grand's eye like a river. How might you use those words that you have gathered randomly and that were not connected to this task? How might you use those words to bring a new light to your poem, to bring a new light to the way that you're describing things, to bring a new light to what you're trying to say? And in the same way that we, at the beginning of this workshop in the free writing, invited each other to just go in whatever direction we wanted to disrupt, to get lost, how can those words that you've randomly collected kind of help you get lost in this poem, if you see what I mean, and stop you from kind of writing what might be expected, or what might become a bit kind of normal or cliche? Because that's how we make our writing separate from just our everyday language that we use to talk to each other. Poetry is a kind of different language, a language of dreams really, and a language that helps us to express the big things like this, like the experience of being a completely different age, the feelings and the memories that that has associated with it. So give yourself permission to be random and to just use those words randomly to invigorate your poem about your age. And remember, there's no such thing as too weird or too strange in a poem. Give yourself permission to experiment. There's no wrong answer. So we're taking something quite concrete, which is our age, and we're experimenting with these random words to make it slightly different. And this is something that you can use in your writing outside of this workshop too. You could pick up a book and find some random words and use that in a poem that you're writing. So it's about kind of shaking up our usual way of doing things, which is a really helpful thing in writing. So I'm going to give you 7 minutes to do that, and then we'll come back together and say goodbye at the end. Enjoy it. Don't worry, you can't do it wrong. It's an experiment. Okay, everyone, finishing off wherever you are. Obviously, this is just a first draft, so you can go back to it. Don't worry if you didn't finish or get as much progress as you wanted to get done. It's only an hour workshop, so you've got plenty of time in your own time if you want to continue. If anyone wanted to share a line or just a thought or a reflection about how they found tonight, the chat box is there. Please pop something in. It's really been lovely to spend an hour with you this evening, talking about ways to kind of free ourselves up and let ourselves go and enjoy that writing. At the moment, I've been kind of feeling a bit creatively stuck, like I've got writer's block, or like I'm writing the same thing over and over again. And I think that's quite common in a lot of people. And so it's really nice to kind of remind myself that writing needs to come from a place of joy and a place of discovery and a place of kind of playfulness and fun. So thanks for joining me on that this evening. If you do want to share any of your poems with me and with Spread the Word, you can do so as part of the Write Through This campaign, which is this workshop series. So you can tweet Spread the Word and hashtag Write Through This, or you can Instagram Spread the Word and hashtag Write Through This, and we'll be able to see the poems that you've written. Or you can email hello@spreadtheword.org.uk and they will share your poems. Next week, I'll be dropping a little 10-minute video with some more writing tips on it. There's already a little 10-minute video from last week that you can watch if you want some more writing tips as part of this campaign. And then on the 24th of February, I'm doing another one of these webinars, which will be looking at some really interesting poems and doing some writing based on them. So I'd love it if you could all join me for that too. But for now, I just want to say a huge thank you and a huge well done for joining me. And looks like we can end on a couple of little lines shared from our wonderful participants. So Louise has written, "Avoiding the tears to fall like a wicket keeper at a World Cup match." That is wicked. And I can see how you've incorporated the Wikipedia thing into your own kind of personal journey with the tears. I love that. Sophia says, "We call other girls dumb, the ones who care about pink, second hands from their sisters." God, I really feel like I've been transported to a certain age and time just with that one line. So that's obviously really strong. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a really nice evening. Be kind to yourselves. Do lots of resting. It's a weird time and we've got to be kind to ourselves. Hopefully, I will see you not next week, but the week after at the next workshop.